The roar of shouting sliced through the calm street just as the sun slid behind the treetops. My daughter's scream followed right after, stabbing through my chest like a blade. My heart lurched upward as I sprinted toward the sound. Two people, dressed like officers, badges glinting, guns raised were aiming straight at her. Their orders cracked through the air. Step away from the property. Now. I raised my hands as I ran. She's my daughter. Don't you dare touch her. My voice shook, but it carried far enough to make a few neighbors peek out their windows. The officers didn't so much as blink. The taller one stalked forward, and in the fading daylight, I could see the badge on his chest wasn't real. Not even close. You're trespassing, he said, pointing at my daughter like she was some hardened criminal. My thoughts scrambled. My girl had just turned 16. She barely knew how to drive, let alone commit some crime. This had to be a setup, some scam, some intimidation stunt. I tried to talk sense into them. This is our land. My family built this place, but the woman cut me off coldly. We're doing our job. Stand down. Her voice was too steady, too polished. Something about her looked off. Like she was acting a role she didn't fully understand. My daughter's face was pale, but her back stayed straight. Then she spoke, and her words froze me. You really shouldn't have come here without checking. First, her voice carried a calmness that didn't belong to a frightened teen. I blinked hard. What does that mean? The woman with the gun didn't answer. She stepped closer, her eyes sharp and calculating. She wasn't pretending. She was trained, and whatever she wanted, it wasn't a simple trespass call. My daughter slightly raised her hand, without fear, without hesitation. Listen, she said slowly. If you fire that weapon, everything you think you know about this neighborhood, this house, is going to get complicated. The taller officer faltered. Even the woman's confidence flickered. Something about my daughter unsettled them. Who are you really? I demanded. The woman finally answered. FBI's, you're standing on federally protected property, and you're in my way. Time stopped. My stomach dropped. I looked from my daughter, to the woman, back to my daughter. Everything I thought was happening shattered in an instant. Federal, what ISTAMMER, ED. The fake cop's gun hand trembled. The woman's smirk thinned. She scanned the area like she was expecting backup or danger. My daughter stepped forward. Dad, relax. Watch carefully. Her voice carried authority, real authority. Even the armed intruders hesitated. The taller fake officer lowered his gun by an inch. Essie's just a kid, he blurted. That kid, the woman snapped, is standing on FBI operational ground. Then she finally flashed her real badge. A legitimate FBI emblem. My breath caught. Everything collapsed at once. Neighbors whispered from their porches, scared but curious. My daughter reached into her backpack and pulled out a small camera. She pointed it at the taller officer. You recording this? He stuttered, voice cracking. Yes, she replied. And every second of your crime is going on record. The smaller fake officer panicked and grabbed for his radio. We need to call. No, my daughter cut him off. You don't have the authority. Everything you've done is illegal. I watched, stunned, as the tide completely turned. Asterisk, the fake officers, once so bold with guns drawn, now looked like kids caught stealing candy. How does she know all this? I whispered. My daughter only flashed a faint smirk. She wasn't just defending herself, she was running the show. The real FBI woman stepped forward and lowered her weapon. Stand down, she ordered the imposters. You're finished. And you'll pay for every second you aimed a gun at civilians. My heart thudded. I wanted to protect my daughter, but all I could do was watch her take control. The fake officers glanced around, desperate for escape. My daughter didn't budge. Think this is a joke, she said quietly. Everything you did is recorded, witnessed, documented. We're FBI? The taller man stammered. We didn't know. We thought you thought wrong. She cut him off sharply. Then she pulled out a small device and pressed a button. A hidden camera perched in a nearby tree blinked to life, beaming footage straight to a dark van, parked farther down the road, a van I hadn't noticed. The FBI woman smiled faintly. You picked the wrong house, the wrong family, and definitely the wrong daughter. My head spun. How long had she planned this? How much did she know? The smaller fake officer panicked and reached for something on his belt. Maybe a taser. Maybe worse. But my daughter moved faster. Freeze! She barked. He stopped mid-air. I swallowed hard. Who are you protecting? And why here? My daughter's eyes flicked to me a warning, but not a refusal. Dad, sometimes the wrong people don't know they're in danger until the right person stands in their way. This neighborhood wasn't chosen randomly. I scanned the street, confused, until I noticed our usually quiet neighbor filming everything. She and my daughter exchanged a subtle nod. Another ally. Another piece of the puzzle. The taller fake officer suddenly bumping. My daughter quietly whispered into a hidden earpiece. Within seconds, Sirens screamed in the distance. "They're coming," she said casually. "And when they get here, you're going to wish you'd stayed home tonight." The fake officers froze. Their earlier arrogance evaporated. My daughter didn't even flinch. "You shouldn't have come here," she said calmly. "You don't threaten people on their own land and walk away." The taller fake cop trembled. We can explain." "No," she said. "You can't." Two real FBI agents in plain clothes stepped out from between the trees, badges shining. "Back up," the taller fake whispered, his voice cracking. "My daughter had planned for this moment, Dad," she said softly. "Let the pros handle this part." The smaller fake tried to run, but was instantly grabbed by a real agent. "It's over," my daughter said. And this time, they believed her. I stepped closer. Awe, overtaking fear. "How did you know this was coming?" My daughter's eyes glinted. "Some things look random," she said, "but the patterns are always there." She pulled a thick folder from her backpack and handed it to the agents. Inside were documents, photos, screenshots proof these imposters had been terrorizing families across the neighborhood under the disguise of HOA authority. The fake woman officer's face drained of color. You recorded all of this." "Every word," my daughter said. The fake officers sank to their knees. This wasn't about land anymore. It was a network, a scam, a conspiracy. And my daughter had cracked it open. The real agents swarmed in, cuffing the imposters with quick, precise movements. "Dad," my daughter said quietly, "you need to see this." One of the fake officers' phones lay shattered on the ground. I picked it up and my stomach turned. Videos, threats, forced entries, fake notices. Dozens of families targeted. They weren't pretending to be cops. They were part of a larger operation. "Please," the taller fake officer begged. "We were following orders." "Orders don't excuse crimes," my daughter said. "You made your choices." Then one of the real agents whispered something in her ear. Her expression sharpened. "Dad," she said, "they weren't working alone. Someone higher up is running this entire thing." She pulled out yet another folder. Emails, coded messages, lists. The entire HOA authority was being controlled by someone pulling strings behind the scenes, using intimidation to push families off their land. And we had just blown it open. The neighborhood watched in silence. Some filmed, some whispered. Everyone understood this wasn't a simple dispute. My daughter sexed in quiet, underestimated Ed, pulled apart a criminal ring like she'd been preparing her whole life. The last fake officer was shoved into a squad car. My daughter finally relaxed her shoulders, though her eyes kept scanning the street, always alert. "How did you handle all this?" I asked. She smiled faintly. "People underestimate you when you look harmless." The crowd erupted in whispers and cheers. Clips uploaded online. Within minutes, the fake HOA scam was trending locally. "Authority isn't about power," my daughter said. "It's about honesty, respect." The FBI agents nodded to her respectfully, almost proudly. "Looks like there's more work to do," she said with a small grin. But I didn't care about the next case. I was proud enough to burst. We walked back toward the house as the golden sunset washed over the street. My daughter, my fearless, brilliant daughter, had exposed a scheme, protected our family, and flipped an entire operation on its head. Justice wasn't just served, it was delivered. "You did good," I whispered. She smirked. "I'm just getting started." And the world would never forget the day the fake HOA cops pulled guns on the wrong family. Thanks for watching another Rise Fuel original. If you enjoyed this story, smash that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every one, and remember, true power isn't in revenge. It's in rising above.